me a glance. She's over me. She's over me.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Paranormal Portal. I'll be your host, Nosferatu. I don't know, I'm kind of feeling that Halloween vibe, so I don't know what to do about it, but I'm talking to you. Have a wonderful night for you guys planned. I hope you are ready to be entertained. I got some really good stories pulled up and stuff, and I hope you had a wonderful day. And this is the Paranormal Portal. I'm your host, Brent Thomas. And I'm excited to be... Oh, Jesus. I was going to check out my blind. My cat is still outside, and he refused to come in. I spent a few minutes before the show running through my yard trying to see if I could find him. But he's determined to be outside, and, well, that's how aloof my cat is. Sometimes he can be inside, sometimes he can be out. But I guess he's geared for it, and a lot better than I am anyway. I'm actually wearing a sweater for the first time this year. It's just getting cold up here in the mountains, so just not ready for it. But anyway, thank you all for being here and being a part of the shows. The phone lines will be open all night, so if you want to be on the show, you can call in at 720-923-0500. Again, 720-923-0500. And you can call in and share your own experiences, or if you have something you'd like to discuss that maybe I talk about throughout the course of the show. It's always wonderful to hear from the listeners. And hello to everybody who are in the chat room now, and everybody watching. Hello to you all out there. Thank you so much for paying attention. I love attention. All right, guys. I hope you're ready, because it's time for bed. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we are. It's the Bedtime Stories From Beyond. I guess we're off and running, off to the races now. We've got right around 50 minutes or to an hour left to go, so I hope you guys are ready to embark on our journey. Please keep your arms and legs inside of the car at all times as you pass through the Paranormal Portal. All right, I got some stories pulled up for you guys. Hopefully you'll find them good. I mean, I never quite know, because I don't actually pre-read them, believe it or not. A lot of people have the hard time believing that, but honest to God, it's the truth. I don't read them ahead of time because, I don't know. It may be part to do with the fact that I don't plan far enough ahead, and it could be part to do with the fact that I kind of like reading them with you guys. It's just get to the story together, and it's kind of fun to think about what we've just read and come up with maybe some logic behind it sometimes, or a lot of times people have more questions in their stories, and I don't know. I'm no authority. I'm certainly not an expert. I don't think there are any experts, but I'm an enthusiast, and I've been studying this stuff for a long time, and I have some opinions, and they may be right or wrong or otherwise. I don't know, but they're mine. So, and since I have a microphone, you get to listen to them. So anyway, all right, let's get off to the first one here. The first story tonight is coming from the state of California. California dreaming is what I hear. All right. Let's see. This is a continuation. Oh, come on. Also, somebody else already submitted a story before. All right, so we'll finish their continuation. It says, after work, I came home thinking that I was going to take the advice of the others who had commented that I should do to rid myself of this thing that enters my room at night. But what I had in store wasn't on my agenda. Well, I get home and go to the computer like I always do, check my email, MySpace. This story is from 2008, so MySpace was still a thing. and everything was normal. And it's probably about 1:30 a.m. at this point. I go get ready for bed and turn off the lights and lay down to watch some TV before I actually close my eyes and try to fall asleep. And, well, it didn't take very long for the feelings to enter my room. I got really cold, and mind you, I live in Southern California, and yesterday's weather was really hot. My room got freezing cold, and as I was thinking in my mind, I needed to pray for my guardian angel, Raphael, when all of a sudden I see it. The haze returns, and I am struggling to see through it to my closet. I wanted to make sure I wasn't just sleepy eyes. Well, I really didn't want this thing to come into my bed at all, so I decided to get the hell out of there and sleep in the living room. As I ran past the thing, I could have sworn I heard it laughing. I fell asleep just fine, but it was my somewhat dream. I don't know what that means, somewhat dream. That freaked me out, and I think it was a lucid dream, but I can't tell for sure, so I'm just going to tell you what happened. Well, that'd be great. In my dream, I'm laying on my bed sleeping, but I can see myself on the bed as if I'm really sleeping. But I can see everything around me from a different part of the room. And all of a sudden, I see the haze hovering from my closet to my bed. It's above me now, and for some reason, I can't yell at this thing to get off of me from the other side of my room. But when I see the blanket start to have the air sucked out of it, and I'm in my body again, and I wake up on the bed with this thing staring at me. But at this point, I know I'm in a dream, but I can't wake up, so I feel like my chest gets so heavy. Like a fat person sitting on me. That's so rude. And I feel absolutely paralyzed. I can't move this time like I could before, and I couldn't breathe. And I was trying to scream, but all that would come out was a whisper. It was like I was dying or something because I was being crushed so badly, and it scared me so bad. And I don't know how long it lasted. It could have been 10 seconds or 10 minutes, but it felt like too long. And I finally wake up gasping and coughing for air, and I'm laying on the couch. I had to rub my head to find out what happened and if it was really a dream or not. And all of a sudden, I see that damn haze, and it's floating away from me back to my room. And I swear on my life this really happened to me. I'm not crazy or making this up. After that, I couldn't sleep for the longest time, and I had to run and turn on all the lights in order to feel comfortable enough to lay there even. I really don't know what to make of what happened that night, but is it possible that they can come into your dreams? Can someone please help me? I don't want to be attacked by this thing anymore. I think absolutely things can appear in your dreams. There's many people that speculate that our dreams are literally, truly, a form of astral projection. And so I do believe that this, a lot of spirits and beings from the ethers can cross realms like that. Like they can be part of the dream realm or the waking realm, or perhaps some other realm like the after this life realm. I don't know. There does seem to be some ability for that to happen. Now, the only reason I'm saying that is because we get so many reports of people experiencing spirits in their dream. And I'm here to tell you, I've experienced it several times. After my father passed away, I had a great conversation with him. A couple of times he came to see me in my dreams. My grandmother as well. And she was actually my second cousin, but she was like my aunt because she was my mom's age. But she came to see me as well, and it was these powerful, lucid, incredible dreams. They were really more than dreams, though. It wasn't like that was just Frankenstein's in my kitchen making toast. That's weird. It was like really being in that situation with these people, having these incredible dialogues and intelligent dialogues. Not like me just thinking of things in my head. It was like the things that they told me weren't like my own thoughts. And that's all I can say is it seemed like genuinely their thoughts. Like they weren't like something I would think in my head. So I do believe they can come into our dreams. And I suppose if the good ones can come into our dreams, maybe the bad ones can too, but you can protect yourself from that. And that's why I urge everyone, whatever your spirituality is, use it, use it. If you're Christian, pray. You know, if you're religious at all, pray before you sleep. Ask for protection. If you are into the more pagan arts, cleanse your environment, cleanse your space. Set up talismans or charms or whatever you use. In that case, crystals, sacred herbs. There's all kinds of different ways to defend your space. So whatever works for you, as long as it's something that you believe in your heart, it becomes incredibly powerful. So just my 2 cents on that. But, I think that, they can do that. I believe they can appear in dreams. So you got to protect yourself. All right. The next one is, again, from California. California dreaming. I am right now for sure because it's so cold here. Oh, man. I'm missing summer already. It just left. It just was like, boom. It left like it owed me rent money or something. It's just like gone, boom. And we're stuck here in the cold. Is just happening all of a sudden. I don't like it. I really don't care for it too much. But I can't change it. I just wasn't smart enough to move to a warmer hemisphere. So here I am. Okay, so what's going on in this one? Oh, God, another one of these referencing other stories. It just really bothers me. So I don't even want to read this one. It just sounds so goofy. Sorry. I'm skipping that one, going on to another one. This one's coming from California as well. It's definitely a California night. I wonder why that's happening. It's like the lottery tonight picked California for our lottery. Speaking of that, we're going to come up with some way by tomorrow night on the show to give away a couple of items, Paranormal Portal items. So I hope that you guys will tune in to Wednesday's show. We will be giving away a few things. I'm not sure exactly which things yet, but we're working on it. I'm not sure how we're going to give them away. What if we're going to make kind of a contest about it or not. I don't know, but that's what the plan is. I've been trying to think of what we can do, and I keep coming up with nothing. So I'll have to come up with some idea of ways that we can give away. And the reason that we're doing that, guys, is that we just finally passed 1,000 likes on our Paranormal Portal radio page on Facebook. And so, it's a milestone of sorts. We've never done this before, but we probably should have done it when we hit 1,000 subs on YouTube too, but we didn't. But we're going to do that tomorrow. So I hope you guys will tune in and hopefully you win something. I don't know. I'm not sure how many things we're giving away. I think it's going to be like a t-shirt and a couple other items, but we'll see. So anyway, California again. Okay, so when I was younger, I had some health problems, and only once did I ever have to stay a few days in the hospital. When I was 10, I was sent to the hospital, but when I was in the hospital, I met this girl named Isabella. She was a year older than me, and by the end of our first day, we became really great friends. So the next day, Isabella and I spent the day together. We visited all the floors, and I forgot how many, but at least 10 or so, and every floor except one. And one of the nurses told us to stay away from the floor number 8. So, of course, as small kids, when we were told to stay away from something, it only made us want to see it more. That day, we stayed away from the floor, but in the middle of the night, around 3 a.m., I woke up, and I didn't know the rules of the hospital, so I thought it'd be fine if I got up and went to see Bella, my nickname for her. So I got up and left the room, and I went into the elevator and hit floor 4 or so. I can't exactly remember what floor she was on, but I knew it was back then. I knew it back then. So the elevator started to go up, and now I was only supposed to go up 1 or 2 floors, but it felt a little longer than that. So I looked up and I noticed it was higher than floor 4. I was already to floor 6, and the elevator kept going until I hit floor 8. When I hit floor 8, the doors to the elevator opened. I wasn't really scared. I just thought I may have hit 8 instead of 4 by accident. Well, I was going to go hit the button to go back down to floor 4, but then I remember what the lady said, not to go to floor 8. So, of course, I get out of the elevator and started to walk slowly down the halls. There were no lights on in this floor. This kid is brave. That's awesome. It looked like a very old floor, like kind of broken down, possibly renovations. I didn't know. So I take one turn, excuse me. I take one turn in the hallway and I hear this voice, and I remember very clearly what it said. Hello, is what the voice yelled. Now, this is not a nurse's voice. This is a little girl's voice, like 6 or 7. Now, you'd think that'd be creepy. Nope. I just thought that maybe a girl came out of her room or something. So, sure, the hair on the back of my neck was standing, but that was only because the girl startled me. So I turned around and I see no one, and I thought, hey, maybe she left. So I looked around the corners. Nope, no one. And here comes the really creepy part. I hear this faint laughter. It sounded like the girl, but if it were daytime and there were people walking around, you'd think, hey, what cute laughter. No, it was just me, and it scared me half to death. So then I decided I'd go back to my room, and I headed straight to the elevator. I kept hitting the button to go down, and the floor's open, and I ran in and I hit button 2, and the floor I believe I was staying on. And when I finally got to floor 2, I hear the girl's voice again. I remember very clearly what she said. Let's play tomorrow. Of course, I ran straight to my room, got under my covers, and stayed there the rest of the night. Now, you may think this story isn't scary, but I was only 10. Walking in those halls full of complete darkness, and I've never told anyone about my experience there, not even Isabella, who I never played with again when I left the hospital. I never walked those halls again. Heck, I never went into that elevator again. I'm now a stairs person. Amen for the stairs. This happened 3 years ago to the day, and that girl's voice still freaks me out. I only went into the hospital one other time to visit my auntie. Same hospital. But when the lady said my auntie was staying on floor number 8, I quickly got out of the hospital. I knew I wasn't welcome there, and I knew the girl didn't want me back there. I never stepped foot in that hospital again. You could offer me $1,000 and I wouldn't go back to that floor. Never walk those floors so late, and always listen to the nurses. God bless you all. There's no question that hospitals are really widely considered pretty hot spots for paranormal activity, and it makes sense with all the, all the tragedy. I don't know how else to say it. I mean, horrible things can happen at hospitals. Lots of people end up making their transition there, of course. But so I don't know if it generates a portal of sorts, or if it's just spirits that have just gotten stuck somehow, and they end up haunting those places. Whatever the case, the hospitals definitely seem to be pretty charged with activity. I was always warned about hospitals and bars when I was younger, learning about more esoteric things. They always said to stay away from hospitals and bars. The reason why is because the belief is that there are these, perhaps they were human spirits, perhaps they weren't, but they're very jealous of the living, and some formerly human spirits that are earthbound want to live again, and so they can try to take possession of a person's body. And when people are drinking, your aura is weakened, your defenses are weakened, and can create a situation for what's called a walk-in. And so, this is what I heard. I don't know if you believe this kind of stuff or not, but the hospitals, of course, when you go into a hospital, you're generally in a weakened state anyway, and there's believed to be a lot of those rogue spirits hanging out there, waiting for their chance to walk in too. And whether it's true or not, I don't know. I mean, I really don't. I couldn't tell you that that's the fact, but this is just things that I was warned about. So I'm just carrying the torch, passing the torch to you. Just be careful. All right, let's go to the next one. This one's from New York. A little while after my daughter was born, which was June of 2006, I believe she started to get a visitor about once a week. I would be asleep in my bedroom, she in a crib in her room, which was at the other end of the hall, and I'd be sound asleep, and all of a sudden her baby monitor would get staticky. Not the regular kind of static, which often gets loud and annoying, but rather a softer, almost pulsing sound. Then I would hear her start to moan or even move around, annoyed like something was bothering her, and I would get a horrible feeling of pressure around me as if it were holding me down to my bed so as to visit her undisturbed. This went on for months, always between 4 a.m. and 5 a.m. I always felt it could be either my grandmother or grandfather, both of whom passed away right before she died. My grandfather had accidentally run over my grandmother, and she died that night. Oh, how horrible. Then obviously he could not live with the grief, so I believe he killed himself by not eating. He died 6 months later in December of 2005, and my daughter was born 6 months after that. Eventually, as she grew and could speak, I would hear her say, "Hello?" And some of her toys would go off on their own. Some of the noise on the monitor, it reached a fever pitch when one night I was awakened by what I thought was my alarm going off. It is set for the radio, so I thought I heard the radio. Then as I truly awoke, I realized it was not the radio, but seemed to be static in my head. Again, I felt like something was pinning me to my bed, and I couldn't move, and all of a sudden I felt a poke on my side. I turned my head expecting it to be my cat, but nothing was there, and I couldn't move. I was paralyzed with fear. Eventually, I was able to turn on the TV and the light and stayed awake the rest of the night. I should say 2 other things. My husband is a police officer, and he works nights, and some nights, as this always seemed to happen, when he wasn't home. So he thinks I'm absolutely crazy, and also I happen to be researching and writing an exhibit for our local historical society about the restoration of our old gravestones. And I've been exploring several graveyards up and down New England for the past 2 years. I told my mom about all these visits since the beginning. She came to visit me in March, and the first night she was slept over in the guest room, which is right next to my daughter's room. She told me in the morning that she was shoved in the back 3 times in the early morning. My grandparents were her parents. So I have a few questions. Who is coming? I believe it or they are not really harmful, just visiting us because they're checking up on us, and more importantly, my daughter. Could it be my grandparents or someone from the graveyard? I had a miscarriage in January and then began having faint spells, panic attacks, and an unexplained pressure in my head and ears, and nightmares in the middle of the night. And could this be related to the spiritual visits? I've been to so many doctors, and they all say that nothing is wrong with me. My friend said she read that these symptoms could be the result of spirits, and has anyone ever had these symptoms or ever hear of this? The visits continue, and I've never worked up the nerve to go in her room while I felt someone was there. I know they're not there to do harm, so I just let them visit, but if they are causing me these symptoms, perhaps I should confront it. Any suggestions as to how to do this? Thank you for listening. Okay, well, first off, if I thought something was visiting my child and pinning me to my bed, I wouldn't let my child be in a room on the other end of the hall. That child would be in a bed right next to me. And, whatever is going on, if it's a lovely, beautiful visit, you won't be pinned to the bed. That's not a good visit. If something is pinning you down, it's taking control, and that's never a good thing. If a spirit is taking control, that's a really bad sign. So, I don't understand how she's getting this idea that, maybe it's my grandparents. Your grandparents would pin you to the bed while, your grandpa would come pin you to bed while your grandma went and talked to the baby? Really? That's not normal behavior. That's frightening behavior. And I don't know where this person came to these conclusions, but I don't even understand how they came to the conclusion, well, I don't think they meant to do it any harm. Well, if they're pinning you to the bed, they're certainly not snuggling. I mean, that's not a good thing. I wouldn't wake up from that thinking, hey, well, Grandma and Grandpa were just here. Cool. I'd be like, hell no. I'd be exercising the house, and I'd be putting bonfires of sage in the fireplace. It'd be like game on. I don't know, that disturbs the hell out of me. And she didn't move her child ever. It's just, well, they're here again. Weird. Oh my God. That freaks me out. That really honestly does. I could not leave my kid in a room all the way, away from me if I felt like there was some weird visits going on. It's like, if it's your grandparents, you're going to get a feeling of love and warmth and good kind of feelings. It's not going to be pinning you to the bed. If it's a visit of love, it's not going to pin you to a bed. That's just not the way it works. Or, if you think it does work that way, you're really trying awful hard to rationalize a bad situation. And granted, if you're pinned to the bed, there's not a lot you can do, but after the first time it happened, you better start looking for answers of how to not get pinned to your bed. And that can be religious. That can be, again, going through those same protection things. However you can find to protect yourself. But, don't just rationalize it in your head like, oh, grandpa and grandma must be here again. No, I don't believe that for a minute. It just wouldn't start with a pinning to the bed. Hey, Bigfoot in Germany, good to see ya. And 35 other people are in here as well. Good to see you all. Thank you for taking part in the Paranormal Portal. I'm just looking. Let's see. Let's see. Okay. So the phone lines are open, guys. If you want to call in, that's always an option. Again, 720-923-0500. 720-923-0500. That is weird. That is really weird. That story. Ugh. I don't know. Maybe it's if you're powerless, maybe it's better to have the delusion that it's a beautiful visit. But I don't know, if something was visiting my kid and I couldn't intervene, hell no. All right. Let's go on to California again. Wow. There's a lot of California tonight. My grandmother passed away about 10 years ago, and I've thought about her every day since. I've had dreams of her that were all very similar in nature, but I've never really felt her presence. The other night while lying in bed, I was thinking about her and decided to, in my head, say, "Grandma, please come back to me if you're here. Give me a sign." Literally a second later, I heard one knock on the secretary that was hers that I have in my room next to my bed. Last night, I again was laying in bed and I said, "Grandma, please come visit me and give me a sign." I then heard what sounded like a coffee cup being set down on the counter on the kitchen table. My children were in the room. My son yelled out, "Mom, are you in the kitchen?" I said, "No." And he said, "Is Dad?" I said, "No." A few minutes later after this, I heard footsteps down the hall by the kitchen, and my son came running down the hall, looked at my husband, who was asleep, and then at me and said, "Mom, who's in the kitchen?" I heard he says, what? I heard he says, a bowl and then someone walking around. I don't know what that sentence means. I felt good that he heard this as well as knowing that I didn't make the sounds in my head. I told him it's Grandma Finky. Or Grandma Frankie, sorry. Finky. Sorry. Today I decided to text my friend to let her know about my experiences, and my phone was fine until after I sent the text. And for the rest of the day today, I would get a pic of me on the phone with a white background, and I would just pop up. It would just pop up every 20 minutes or so until my phone died. Last night I felt really light and airy kind of sense of relief, and today I feel pretty good. I haven't been feeling good for the last couple of years due to a pain disorder. Last night was the first night I haven't had pain in a long time. Well, that's wonderful. Maybe Grandma's coming to help you out. This one's from Alabama. Very short one. Looks like there was, at one time, there might have been pictures here, but I just only see the space where they might have been. So let's read it, what it says. Me and my friend Kent were in the Wiregrass Commons mall parking lot in Dothan, Alabama, sometime around the end of July last year. And this is a 2008 story, so it had been 2007. And it was a bad storm, and I was trying to capture lightning in my cell phone. And next thing I know, this light flies across the sky. And my first reaction was just shock. I didn't know what to think. I checked my phone, and sure enough, I actually got this thing on video. Not moments later, an ambulance pulls in right next to us, which is linked to the video on the lights on the YouTube. And we looked over at the Dillard's lobby, and there was a man laying face up on the floor with a few people knelt down beside him. I don't know to this day what happened to that man, but all the coincidences led me to believe that it was either his spirit or ghost going up to heaven, or his guardian angel leaving from his side. Okay, it's truly an amazing experience, and I'd like to share it with as many people as possible. Thanks a lot for reading. I don't know. I don't see the videos, though, so unfortunately, even if there were videos, I couldn't show them because I don't have permission from that person directly, but cool story. I don't know. Sometimes those things are observed. And, you see videos of those on YouTube, and most often, those kind of videos are, they're most often produced. They're often created. They're just fabrications. And it's fine, because I imagine just getting a ghost on a picture is about like trying to catch lightning in a bottle. But in order to see somebody's spirit leaving, I think you have to, that's got to be even double tough, much harder than just capturing a random ghost. I don't know. All right, this one is from New Jersey. In the early 70s, my husband, child, and I moved into an apartment that was provided by his employer. That's a nice employer. The property consisted of 3 houses and several greenhouses. The business was a wholesale florist, and the apartment was over the oldest house, the owner's grandparents, and it was a cute apartment and worked well with the small family. But for some reason, I always felt uneasy at night and liked to keep a light on when going to sleep. Many times when visiting the mother of the owner, she was in the 3rd house, I would tell her of my creepy feelings and asked if there were any deaths in that house, or she couldn't remember any. In 1972, I had my second child, and while living there and being busy with 2 children, I was too tired at night to dwell on my feelings. But a year after my second child was born, my marriage was in trouble, and I found myself sleeping on the couch. And I stayed up late reading or watching television, and when I could finally fall asleep, I made sure a light was on, because a few times when I turned off the TV and the room got dark, I would start to feel fearful. The final year of living in this apartment, I had one experience. I'd fallen asleep while watching television, and for a brief moment, I woke up and shut it off. I drifted back off to sleep, only to be awakened by my son. Only it wasn't my son, because just as I said to this child standing next to my head, "Carl, what are you doing out of bed?" the child vaporized right before my eyes. Poof, into thin air, and I quickly turned on the light, and after I calmed down, I was able to get back to sleep. These people are like superheroes. I don't think I'd be sleeping for like maybe a couple of days. I also remember one time before I started sleeping on the couch, I was asleep in the bedroom, and my husband got up early to go hunting, and he woke me up to say goodbye. I didn't feel the need to turn a light on, as it was early morning, but it was before the sun was up, so the house was dark. Unfortunately, right after he left, that feeling came over me again, and I jumped out of bed and turned on the closet light, or turned on the closest light, rather. I never did find out who this little boy was or why I felt so creeped out in this apartment. And other than that one episode, I didn't see any evidence of ghosts or a haunting. But you felt it, though. This person talks so many times about feeling it. So sometimes that's most of what most hauntings are, is just a vibe, just a feeling. It's not always this really chaotic kind of activities. It's oftentimes just a feeling or a charge in the air. Because I believe that most hauntings, if they're intelligent, they don't really want to cause trouble. They're just there. And for whatever reason, maybe they can't leave. Maybe they don't know how to leave. And so, but I think, they might still be decent people. They're just kind of stuck where they are. So they don't oftentimes throw pots and pans and really try to raise hell. They just oftentimes want you to know they're there. Sometimes that's just a healing thing for them, I think, is just to be acknowledged. Because could you imagine being who you are, but you're in a state that nobody can perceive you, and you're wandering around and nobody interacts with you? It's just like you're just ignored. And so how wonderful would it finally feel to have someone go, okay, I know you're there, and that's like, wow, okay, somebody feels that, my presence. That would have to be at least somewhat gratifying after, being in a state of being ignored for however long. Could be hundreds of years. We just don't know. So, just again, more thoughts on the subject, but let's go to Florida and see what's going on in Florida. Excuse me. I get froggy when I don't talk for a while. Call in and haunt Brent. Don't haunt me. So, all right. Let's see what's going on in Florida. I got a ding on my phone. What the heck? I don't know why my phone's making noise. Oh, yeah. All right, so let's go to Florida. Well, this is one of a few that I'm willing to share. It's not too long, though. These were two similar incidences, and I'm going to put them into one short story. Excuse me. Hold on a sec. I got a cough. There we go. This wasn't my first experience, but one of the most memorable ones because I was older and I don't think my imagination was overactive as to what it was when I was little and thinking I was just seeing random movements in the old house I used to live in. Anyway, it was fall and school had just started. We were about a month or two into the school year at this time, and I was standing out by the bus stop. Let me set the tone for you a little bit. I'm from southern Georgia, born and raised in a very small town called Naylor. I'd moved right across the state line into Jennings, Florida, about 2 or 3 years prior, and we were still in the new family, and we were still getting used to the neighbors and everything, and I lived in a small subdivision of dirt roads and randomly placed houses, and we only had 2 neighboring houses that were in the eye's view. One was directly across the road, facing our house along the main road, and in which no one lived because they were still clearing off the land and hadn't dug their well yet to get the proper plumbing. And then there was the house next to that on the left, and if you're looking from my house, where my friend Zane lived. So there I was. It was about 5:45 in the morning, and I was the early one to the bus stop, patiently waiting for the bus at school, or for school, rather. And it was a little chilly outside, considering it was autumn and all. I looked at my watch, and it was around 5:50 or so. I heard a door shut and turned around to see my boy Zane, about 250 yards away, heading over my way. And as I turned in that direction, facing the empty lot across the street, awaiting my boy, I felt a slight breeze blow past me and heard my name called in a very soft voice. Maybe it was a female's voice. Oh, I gotta do this. Chris. At that moment, I tried to follow the leaves blowing in the breeze. And now normally you see the leaves just roll off at the way through the yard because a gust or breeze doesn't just stop, right? They blow past my body and fall to the ground about 15 feet in front of me. Wow, that's cool. Being freaked out by what had just happened, I turned around really quickly to see if it could have been my sister playing tricks on me. I mean, she's only a year younger than I am, and we play games on each other all the time, and still do to this day. So when I turned around, she was just leaving the house, too, so I was just kind of frozen, and I just stood there in some type of shocked state until my sibling and friend got there. I never shared this with anyone until now. The second account was a little weirder because I was completely alone, and it happened a little less than a year after the other incident. It was now summer, and I was on my way home from my best friend Jimmy's house after having an afternoon full of backyard football, and is literally beating the hell out of one another because we actually played tackle football with no pads or anything. So I was on my way home, and it was almost dark, and the sun had already gone down, and Jimmy lives about a mile from me, and he was the closest neighbor that was south from my house. And so there I was, walking down a heavily brushed dirt road, and I heard it again. Here we go. Chris. It was the soft female voice. By now I'm walking a little faster, looking around for a person or a being of some sort. And then I heard it once more, and I began sprinting all the way until I made it home. I never told anyone except for my ex-girlfriend, and she sees things, and I have a few stories with her to share with you, but they will all come later. Any comments or advice is welcome. But don't be too harsh on my and critiquing this, as this is the first time I've actually written these experiences down. Thanks for your time, Chris. I don't know. That's weird. I mean, it's just these random gusts of spirit passing by saying your name. I don't know. I don't know what the hell that's about. That's really strange. I don't have any input. Do you? Any of you? Okay. If you do, you'll have to share it with me, because I don't know what the hell's going on in situations like that. It's like, why a random, hey, Chris? It's like, yes. What's going to happen then? So is there supposed to be a dialogue, or is it just, again, is that just an attempt at acknowledgement? I don't know. Maybe. Very strange. All right. So next is Ohio. Of course it's Ohio, because everything weird happens in Ohio. All right. Let's see what Ohio's got to say. Well, I said that I had more to tell, so here's another one for you all to ponder about. I worked second shift for almost 7 months, and it was actually a terrible shift due to trying to have a life outside of work, and 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. 5 days a week was really taking a toll on my free time. So I asked about and accepted a third shift position. 3 12-hour shifts, 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., and I knew that switching like that was going to be a lifestyle change, but with 3 days on and 4 days off, I was willing to try it out for a while. One night, again, I left to go outside for a smoke break, and this time it was almost midnight, and I had already had an awkward feeling since the beginning of the shift, and I walked the 10th floor first to see if I could find a nurse or a tech to go out with me, but the ones who smoked seemed to have already taken their breaks or were just too busy with new admit patients to go out at that point. So, again by myself, I got in the elevator and headed to the first floor. The ride down was really just fine. Nothing exciting seemed to happen. I walked the long dark hallways past the cafeteria and the gift shops. I made my way through the ER and headed towards the only night exit, and as I started to pass the security station, the guard stopped me and asked, "Where did the nurse you were walking with go?" A little unsure of what he was saying, I told him that I had been alone since I left the 10th floor. Then he told me that on the security cameras he saw me exit the elevator with a nurse wearing a white dress and a small hat on her head. I said maybe that was someone else that got off the elevator close to the time I did, but he assured me it was me that he saw, and even pointed out how I stopped in front of the gift shop and looked in the window for a quick second. A little surprised, I asked, well, maybe she was a ghost nurse, and I had to let out a little chuckle. He laughed, thinking I was joking, and and he said that he was only curious because he had not seen anyone dressed in clothes like she was wearing before, and that as I entered the back way into the ER, and then came into the waiting area, that he thought he would be able to see her attire in person. Sorry, that would just seem clumsy to me for some reason. I sort of shrugged my shoulders and told him that I had indeed been by myself, and that I wished that I could have seen what he thought he saw, and he motioned for me to come behind the booth, and he, in front of me, rewound the tape on the recorder and played it back for me from the time I got off the elevator. On the tape, no nurse was present, but there was a lightly glowing object of what appeared to be the shape of a slimly built human, and it stayed with me walking the same pace I walked through the trip, even as I stopped at the gift shop. The man was freaking out, telling me that he knows what he saw, and that the glowing object was the nurse, and she was walking with me right in its place. So I really don't know, but believing in what I do, I can't say that she wasn't there. And the glowing affirmation, if you will, was certainly there. I never feel like I'm alone there. But as long as there's no harm to me, I don't mind too much. I'd love to hear what you all think about this encounter. All input is appreciated, and thank you. Now, that's really interesting because, you wouldn't think that the recording could be changed. You'd think it's recorded, so it's, that's what it is. But the guard clearly saw this woman and a woman dressed in older nursing garb like the nurses used to wear back in the, 70s, 60s. And he clearly saw that kind of attire. And when she came around the corner, she was alone. He's like, "Where's the other woman? You were just walking with her. She was in the old nursing outfit." And the lady's like, "I was alone." So they watched the tape back together. Now, in the replay, there's an apparition, like the shape of a woman or a lightly built person walking with this nurse. That's really freaky. And how does that work? I mean, that's the kind of stuff that really boggles my imagination. So it was recorded. It was absolutely recorded that this was the apparition. And it was, if it's light, it's light. If it's registered on that sensor, that's what should be stored in the digital recording. But it was shifted. It changed after that. And how does that work? What's going on? There's some kind of weird dynamic to all of that because that doesn't make sense. But you hear a lot of that stuff, and I don't understand how it happens. We have so much to learn about this reality of ours because apparently there's things that can bend the rules. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that implies. I don't know if that means it's not, that it's some kind of glamour. That's, you hear about stories like that with the Fae, for instance, and a lot of people roll their eyes when you talk about things like the Fae, because it's the idea of these magical little creatures like the fairies and stuff and elves and things like that. But there's all kinds of stories into 1,000 years ago or more of these beings that had magical power and could cast a glamour on you or a spell on you and make you see things. So was there a glamour that this apparition could summon that made the guard see a person walking with that nurse? Was it an extraterrestrial kind of thing where it was cloaked and it could make it appear like a normal person to his eyes? I don't know, but it sounds like a ghost to me. I don't understand because it chose garb that was so outdated. So if it was some kind of other type of entity, you'd think it would really try to blend in and not choose 40-year-old clothing. I don't know. Very strange. There's just no answers, and that's the hard part about this stuff. There's no answers. It's just us talking about a whole bunch of weirdness that we can't possibly explain. Very, very strange. And I guess the part that sucks is that we're the only ones that don't seem to know the rules, because all these other things that are out there, they seem to know the rules, but we just don't seem to know the rules at all. So I don't know if that makes sense to you, but it makes sense in my head. It's like, they seem to be able to exist in this other type of reality, and we're just really anchored in this one. And, it's kind of wild, I guess. Just kind of wild. I don't know what to say about it. Let's see how we're doing here. Well, we're at 50 minutes. Maybe I can find a short one for you guys. I see how many people are here. 42 of you are here. A little quieter night tonight, but it's always wonderful. I don't care if 5 people are only ones that show up. That's great. I'm happy to do the show, but it's always fun when we get more and more people in here. That's exciting, but that's a really long story. That's not the one I'm reading. I'm going to try to find a dark one. Or not a dark one. I just read one of the words. I'm going to try to find a short one. This one's pretty short. I can close with this one. And it's It says 4 dark figures. So this one comes out of Florida as well, ladies and gentlemen. So let's see what's going on here. My story begins when I was attending school in Fort Lauderdale about 2.5 years ago. I'm 28 years old now, so around that time I was about 26 years old. And I was living alone, and I was very much used to being by myself. One afternoon I came home and I felt a little tired, so I decided to lie down on my couch on my back, something I never do. The television was off and my neighborhood was extremely quiet. It always has been. I got up and turned my ceiling fan on, and I laid back down there on my back, and the only sound I could hear was the sound of the ceiling fan that was on high. It was at this point I felt like I was in a state of being between asleep and awake, and suddenly the noise from the ceiling fan sounded differently, like distorted. It had just suddenly changed, and I found that to be quite strange. And then I saw 4 dark figures standing in the front of my couch. I couldn't make out any facial features. They were a black mass, and I could just see their black shapes, and that was it. I was terrified, and at this point I tried to move to get up, and I couldn't move. I tried to yell, and I couldn't yell. I couldn't even move a finger or just a little. My focus was fixated on the 3 that were standing directly in front of me, but one of them was off to my side, and he seemed to be sitting and writing on something, which I found very strange. I had overcome my fear of these beings a few moments later because I realized that if they wanted to harm me, they would have already done so. They just stood there watching me, and I wanted to ask them what they wanted from me, but as I mentioned before, I couldn't talk or move. I was helpless. I wondered who these beings are and why was one of them writing stuff down. I've never found any answers to these questions to this very day. A few seconds later, I found myself still looking in their direction, but now they were gone, and the sound from the ceiling fan returned back to normal. I know within my heart, within myself, that this was no dream, that it was very real. During this experience, I just felt as if they were observing me, which I also found to be very strange. Does anyone have any insight on this experience was all about? I don't. It sounds like the proverbial shadow people, but if they're just sitting there watching and writing, I don't know. It could be extraterrestrial, to be honest with you. They could just be kind of cloaked there, and they could be studying this person. I don't know. Very, very weird stuff. But that's what keeps the paranormal fresh and interesting. I don't know. What do you say to stuff like that, I don't know. So, truth, hip hop consciousness. My dad told me people have been asking about his Paranormal Portal shirt when he goes out. Pretty cool. Oh, that's excellent, brother. Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate your dad sporting the colors, flying the flag. That's awesome. Very nice. I guess that's the whole goal, right? It is kind of free advertising for us, but we hope you love the shirts. And to all of you out there, if you look in the show description, you'll see a link to our Teespring site, and we are going to be promoting that a lot more on our podcast as well. So, but if you get a chance, take a look at it. We hope you like what you see, and the show is viewer funded. I mean, we're not getting a whole lot. There are ads that we play on our YouTube page, and it generates a little bit of income, very little, but it's something. And anything that we've been able to do with the show has been all a result of you guys helping us out. You guys, helping and pitching in and making it happen. Like when our board died, it was you guys that replaced it. I didn't know what I was going to do. We were kind of stuck in a rough place, but you guys all stepped up, and several of you contributed, and I was able to get another board just a couple of days later. So you guys make the show happen, and we have a lot of ideas of things that we want to do, but it's again, there's all these, unfortunately, and it sucks, but the world runs on money, and there are financial barriers to us being able to accomplish a lot of things that we hope to, but we'll get there. And, But every chance, if you guys would like to check out the shirts and the gear, please do. It would really help us out a bunch. If you like to just donate, please do. It helps out a bunch. It's a labor of love for Don and I, and we love doing it. There's no question. I mean, it's just a complete passion, but whenever you guys are able to, it really goes a long way. And even if it's just you sharing with people that like the Paranormal Portal or paranormal about the portal, that's amazing. That really, that's because there's no better promotion than a word of mouth. It's like people are going to believe you that know you more than me going, hey, check out our show. It's great. Well, if you have friends that are into the paranormal and you say, hey, check out the show, it's great. They're going to listen to you. They're not going to listen to me. So thank you to all of you that are here and continue to be here every day, all the time when we're doing the shows. You guys are amazing. No, cha-cha, money is not evil. Now, here's the thing. A lot of people say things like that, like money is evil. Now, this is the thing. This is my opinion on this, and I've had this opinion for many years. People become enraged at money, and it's not the money. It's the people that covet the money that make that dark. So money is a tool. You don't hate your hammer. The hammer can help you build a house. But a hammer shouldn't be kept in hoarded in a chest and never used, never see the light of day. It's a tool. It is a means to an end. And as long as you remember that it's simply a tool, it's just a way to accomplish things in this world of ours. And it's neither good nor bad. Money can be wonderful if it helps some people in need. Then it becomes a wonderful thing that makes it possible for them to, take care of themselves, or it can, provide care for somebody that can't care for themselves or whatever. So it's a tool. Money's a tool. Don't think darkly about money. It's just, you don't hate a hammer. You don't love a hammer. It's just a hammer. It can do wonderful things if you build a house with it, but if you start beating people with it, it's a bad thing, but it's the people that create the good or bad. So don't forget that. Just my little, what'd she say? No, you misunderstood. I know a guy named, she knows a guy named Money. He's evil. I suppose that could be true. I don't know. I don't know that guy. So anyway, guys, I love you all. I guess that's going to wrap up our show tonight, but thank you to all of you who are here and have been a part of the show tonight. It's amazing. I am just humbled and thrilled that you guys continue to come in and watch me talk about stuff. That's pretty cool. But anyway, I will be back with Don tomorrow. We'll be doing our 2-hour show. And again, we're going to give away some gear. So hopefully you guys will tune in and be a part of that. Hopefully you'll win something. I don't know how we're going to do it yet, but we're going to come up with some plan by then. But anyway, I love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Help each other out. Find the magic in every day. And remember to laugh as much as you can. Follow us on Facebook if you haven't already, facebook.com/Paranormal Portal Radio. And on Twitter, we're nearly 100 subscribers or followers on Twitter, which is absolutely silly. But, we were at like 28 for about a year. So it's finally moving, and that's really cool. So make sure to check out the podcast if you haven't been checking it out. And again, this Friday, we got a special episode of our podcast coming out. We interviewed the wonderful Mr. Wes Germer of Sasquatch Chronicles, and it was a great discussion Wes and I had, and he brought some, we talked about all kinds of different cryptids and all kinds of situations and such, and he brought some clips from his show, and it was really, really cool because it really illustrated a lot of points, and it was a great discussion. I was really honored to have that opportunity, so we'll be... We'll be going over that on Friday on our podcast, so I hope you guys will tune in and check it out. But again, love you guys. I hope you have a wonderful night and a great day tomorrow. And come back at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 days a week on YouTube. There's always a portal happening, so make sure to ring that bell if you haven't already. If you're not getting notifications, make sure it's still rung. A lot of people talk about how their bell got unrung, so I don't know. I don't know what causes that, but check into it. But I love you guys. Take care. Have a great day tomorrow, and we'll see you tomorrow night. Good night, everybody, and sweet dreams.